David. This is the new WKDU interview series, and I'm really happy to be sitting here with Kennedy Freeman from Highnoon. Thanks so much for being here with me.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
How's it going? How you doing?
I'm good. I've been just trying to do new things with myself since I can't really leave the house. But it's been really cool that it snowed, and I don't know, that's entertaining at this point. Like just the
Definitely.
weather. Like wow, another thing. Um, but yeah, I've still been like writing songs and trying to find new shows to do. I'm currently knitting a scarf. It's not that good, but I'm doing it. And hopefully, I'm trying to work fast. Like, hopefully, I'll be able to have it done before it gets warm again, but I don't know.
For sure. What color is the scarf you're knitting? Just out of total curiosity.
Oh my god, it's pastel. It's it's like a light purple.
Mm.
And I don't know if I should mention the other calls that we
I know. I was
we're
debating.
gonna
I
come
was
up
like, I should
later.
have done it before we started recording.
I
Okay.
know.
So for full disclosure, our audience, we tried recording this once before, and it was a nice interview. It was a really nice conversation, but we were having some technical difficulties when we went over to FaceTime, and FaceTime didn't record the audio, or rather, my screen capture didn't record the audio. So now we're doing it again. So, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So the first question that I wanted to ask you, that I think you remember is, uh, I, as well as the rest of your audience, have noticed that you're a fan of pastel colors. So, which pastel color of all of them is your favorite?
I would probably have to say the one that my scarf is right now, which is a light purple. I think it's
Solid
really
choice.
nice. I guess like a lilac color.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like lavender as a color is kind of like, oh, I don't know. It's like the, how do I word this? Like the bedroom pop of colors, you know?
You feel that way?
But like calling it lilac, I feel like it's not the same color, I guess, but I feel like
I
it's
think you're
like,
right. Yeah, lavender has a certain vibe that
yeah.
is undeniable.
So like lilac is just the, directly adjacent, slightly different one.
It's refined. It's hi-fi.
Hi-fi. I like that. That's sick. So my next question for you, Kennedy, is, were you in any bands before High Noon started?
Yeah. So I was in two. Well, I've been in two. The first one I was in was called Annie Flame. It was my roommate's band. Like they were just looking for um a bassist at the time, and I didn't play the bass, but I just was like, I'll do it. And so I like borrowed one that they had at their house, I guess, like just like one I guess like their parents gave them like a while ago and they didn't use. And I just like figured out how to play the bass for those songs only. I like don't
Because
really
you
know
had
how.
already started playing guitar at that point, right?
Right. So I was like, I guess I can just translate it over. And for the most part you can, but you definitely there's definitely different. You just have to like use a different part of your brain sometimes. Um
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
I
feel
was in
that.
that for a while and we did like a lot of house shows and stuff. And I'm also in my friends Rachel and Nathan. Their project is called Beachbud and I play keys for them. And I guess my project predated me being in theirs. Um, but we had like played a show or two together and then after a while I was just like, yeah, I'm in your band now. And they were like, okay, cool. They like added me to the group chat like as a joke. Like, oh, this be funny? And then like I just ended up finding something to do in there.
Yeah. Little did they know, the group chat is like getting added to the group chat is like that's the stamp of approval, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't realize. But yeah, I'm still in it. It's fun. Yeah, I feel like I really enjoy those types of like situations where you end up just like doing something with friends and it's very like casual. And then you actually end up making cool music incidentally.
Totally. I feel like that's just kind of the vibe of the Philly house show scene in general.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
at least in my experience, yeah.
Mhm.
So do you remember the first Philly house show that you went to? Because I know you went to Temple. So what kind of houses did you start going to, and like, I don't know, how have you kind of seen the house show scene change, I guess?
Right. Oh, that's a really good question. So I my first one I can't remember. Because they were kind of a blur. At this point I was like I guess I had just turned 18 maybe. And um it was maybe like a Halloween cover show if I had to guess. Um but a lot of them were just like walking distance from Temple's campus and just like in like row homes and stuff. Um And yeah, I guess, well, I don't know how accurately I can say how the scene has changed because at the time I was just like so impressed by everything and I didn't know that DIY was a thing that people
Mhm.
did. And so I just thought it was cool, like everything that I was seeing. Um, I don't know if I was the most critical of like whether the bands were good or not at the time because I was just like, yeah, live music.
Live
um,
basement, no fire codes.
yeah, danger. Um, but yeah, I guess within my own like subjective experience, I feel like it's at least for me, like I feel like I've seen a lot different, like a lot more diversity in like genre and um at first
Different
like I
kinds
think
of acts and stuff.
yeah, yeah, like I think at first I would just go to like whatever was local or whatever, but there are a lot of really cool acts around the city and not so much that it's changed, but I guess like I my eyes were opened to um just like how much music is really going on in the city.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, definitely, me too. I don't know, I think I've seen like some like really, really different bands that I had no expectation of seeing because I grew up in the emo scene too, so I was like kind of expecting to see a lot of pop punk style bands and
Yeah.
basements, seeing crazy different styles, and I don't
Mhm.
know. I was so surprised by how many different things I could see and how much I enjoyed all of them. So
I know. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I think I mean, of course it's changed significantly because of the events that have made it change, but I'm also very interested to see what it's like afterward. Especially cuz I feel like a lot of venues are sadly shutting down, and so there might be a huge like basement revival once that's like
mhm.
safe. I'm a
Yeah.
little scared. I don't want to haul my amp down a flight of stairs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there'll be some sort of basement revival or basement like as soon as the vaccine is available to the general public, it'll be like
Yeah.
a house show popping up on every other block, I think.
Yeah. God, I feel like that'll be really cool. Um,
Yeah, a
one
house
thing,
show or a party or something like people are just gonna join up.
something. One thing I will say though, like that I noticed changed now that I'm thinking about it is like there were a lot more house venues. Um, like when I had first moved to Philly in like 2015, 2016 maybe. Um, and a lot of them just ended up closing and I didn't really see I don't know, when I started I guess when I started playing music like for myself and instead of just going I realized that there weren't that many anymore or like the ones that I guess had been running for a while were closing down for whatever reason. So I'm really excited to see like um, what the pandemic will do for just like people's ingenuity and the spirit of DIY, if you will.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. Um,
Mhm.
so my next question for you is, how did you start writing songs, and what kind of made you want to start writing songs?
So I I had originally like tried to like write poetry for a little bit and it was like really bad. Um but I was like, I don't know, I feel like I had something in me that was like that felt like I had to write for whatever reason. Um and I was going to a lot of house shows a lot my freshman year. And so I don't know, I would just like be at shows and I'd be like, wow, I really, really want to do this.
Hmm.
And at the time, like I had been playing piano like kind of on and off um, up until like I was in high school. And so I would go like in my dorm there was a keyboard in the basement and so I would go down there and like try to brush up my skills a little bit. Um, and then at the end of my freshman year, I kind of just like really wanted to play the guitar. And so I asked my dad and we went and got one from some music store. And I had just figured, um, like as I was like slowly figuring out how to play it, I would like just piece together, I guess, like chords that I had learned or whatever, and tried to just make songs that way gradually. And that was like after like a year, I guess, of learning um, how to
Sure.
play. Yeah.
And something I read is that you learned guitar. Like a big way that you learned guitar was by learning Alex G songs. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, at the time I was a really big Alex G fan and definitely still am. But his his songs are just like very like widely tabbed on the internet. Like you can really just find well he has so many too, so like
yeah,
it's
so
like
much unreleased crap too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like on Ultimate Guitar and stuff, like if you look up Alex G, like 100 songs pop up. So I was like, great. um, and I felt like they were like pretty accessible, and I think he has like a really unique style of playing, or um, kind of just adding um, his own flair to like pretty standard chords sometimes. You won't even really know like how simple they are to play sometimes. Or at least I didn't when I was like trying to learn the guitar. I'm like, oh, this seems really hard. I don't know if I can do it. So that was like a really good bridge for me to kind of make my way into like song structures, I guess. And it definitely still has an influence on me, whether it is very obvious or not. But I think sometimes you can kind of hear it in my music too.
For sure. Do
Yeah.
you have a favorite song by Alex G to play? Just out of curiosity.
Um, I forget. I think I like to play the song "Things to Do" a lot. That one's really fun. I also really like to play "Snot." I think that's one of my favorite songs by him off of Beach Music.
Mm.
Um, and I really like the tuning. Like I'm really into alternate tunings and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like my gimmick at this point.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like everyone's got it at some point, just like
Yeah.
just to see what it can do for you.
Yeah. I think it's also just personally, I find it easier to write that way. Um, like
Yeah.
melodically, I generally like start with a melody, like a vocal melody, and then I think it's just easier to find on the guitar. What because you can kind of just move your fingers anywhere and it sounds okay. So
Yeah.
it's been like a little hack of mine.
Sure. I mean, that's great. I don't know. I'll be sitting in my standard tuning guitar and just be like, I don't know, playing the same chords all the time. So that's a
Yeah,
wonderful way to break out of it.
for
Um,
sure.
so my next question for you is, I know you started to, uh, I think it was before Highnoon's first release. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were featured on Soft Idiot's record. Um, with I know you're friends with Justin from Soft Idiot. That
Mhm.
album is Rain Wins Another Year in 2017.
Yeah.
Um, first of all, what was it like contributing to that album? And second of all, what's how did that relationship kind of turn into High Noon?
Yeah, so, um, Justin and I had met, freshman year, and, like, our I think I saw him, like, play an open mic, and I was like, "Oh, you're so good." Um, and our circle was just kind of enmeshed gradually with, like, people, like, freshmen at Temple who, like, went to house shows and stuff, so, yeah, he's had his project, I guess, since he was in high school, and, was just, like, always working on another album. It was so inspiring, and I never, like, knew that people, like, worked that way. Um, but yeah, I had done vocals on a couple of his songs before that record, um, and it was the first time, I guess, that I had even recorded anything with anyone. Um,
Mm,
but he kind of just like gave me a concept of like what he was going for and would send me demos of what he was working on. Um, and I would just kind of get in front of the mic and figure out what sounded good. Um, and he, another thing that he did was just like very funny. Was like I think he wanted to I guess he just wanted to get me to write something for the last song on the album without like it being I don't know, like a prompt. So he just gave me like all these general words that he wanted me to think about. Um all of a sudden I had all these ideas. And
like
so
vocab choices.
yeah, like it's a very like wintry album and
Uh,
yeah, and so he was like,
I
"Yeah,
gotcha.
think about that." Um, he's nutty. Yeah, that was, like, the first time I had, like, written for a project that, like, wasn't my own, um, or even, like I guess I had yeah, I'd already started writing my own songs, but then I was just like, "Oh, let's see if I can do this thing." Which seems to just be my attitude with most of music, "Let's see if I can do it," which is funny. Um, but yeah, from there, like, we would collaborate on stuff every now and then, and, like, I would send him a lot of my demos. Like he was the first person really who heard a lot of stuff that I had made in the beginning, and it wasn't that good. But he would always like respond like, "Oh, this is fire," and I'm like, "I don't believe you," but okay. Um, and he,
What a valuable like resource to have someone say that.
I know he's like this is a heater. I'm like, I don't believe that. But you just, like, need that in the beginning, I think, like, someone to boost your confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and so I had sent him stuff just, like, all the time for a while, and then eventually I got to a point where I started writing a record and, well, I didn't really know I was writing a record, but it just ended up being that way, and then, he just, like, really, really encouraged me to um, put it together and do it, which I really needed at the time because I don't know if I ever would have put it out. But yeah, he
Mm,
would record all this stuff for me and mix it, and it was really helpful because I didn't know how to do anything, you know.
sure.
But yeah,
And
that's been like a really valuable relationship for me. Just like getting into music, and he plays drums in my band now, so it's really sick.
yeah, he's a sick drummer.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you guys recorded it like from your home, right? Um,
His record or mine?
yours, semi sweet.
Oh, oh yes. So he had a practice space that he was renting out in Southwest Philly, the Gray's Ferry Warehouse. If anyone
Uh,
has been there, it's really soft in there.
is
Um,
that the one with it's like a bunch of places in there, but like Pickle Rehearsal Space is one of the places
yes,
in there.
we were right next to Pickle.
Word.
Um,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, there's just so many different rooms, and like there would be people in there just playing doom metal, and we had to work around that because it was so loud. And, like sometimes we would just like haul ourselves all the way over there to record, and the metal was so loud, and like we just didn't have the right equipment to like tune it out, so we would just have to try to work on something else or just like not record that day. Um, but yeah, that's where we did like most of the tracking. Um, and then we ended up doing vocals in my bedroom, like where I was living at the time. Um, so yeah, it was an experience. Definitely not a professional studio or even
Sure.
like quintessential bedroom pop vibe. It was kind of weird. And
Mm.
like probably not the best way to get um a good product, like a good finished product, because we were just uncomfortable in there.
Mm.
And every
Sure.
time we went in for a session, we were just like rushing to get it done. But
But I
yeah.
feel like having something to like put you in some kind of pressure chamber, like force you to finish the thing quicker
Oh my
is
god,
so yeah, it's so great. I mean, a blessing and a curse,
yeah.
really. But
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I think having something to be like, oh, it's so hot in here, I have to finish this take so I can get the hell out of here
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
valuable.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And like we were getting to a point because at the time it was just Justin helping me with my songs, and like we didn't have a band at the
Mhm.
time, and we didn't have a bassist, and neither of us are actual bassists. Like we can make it happen, but it's probably offensive to bassists everywhere. And so whenever we tried to do the takes, like we would just like listen to the song for a little bit and then and just be like, okay, I got it, and then we'd mess up and then have to do it over and over. It's like we just really thought we were doing something there, but probably just should have asked one of our friends who plays bass because we had them. Um, but yeah, don't listen too closely to the bass on the album. I shouldn't say.
I think it's pretty great.
Oh my god,
That's
secrets
funny.
behind the scenes. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, I think that's like we were talking about last time. That's kind of like played into your writing style now, which is that, and I'll get to this question later. But now you have a band, like an awesome band that you're playing with.
Mhm.
So now you're able to write with them, and they're able to like write their own parts, right?
Yeah, and
How's that like? Yeah.
that's been super helpful, and it's kind of allowed me to just dream a little bigger with the arrangements and stuff. I think before I would just very much write to my own limits and be like, well, I can't really do that, so like I'll just take that out, you know. But
Hmm.
now, like if I imagine a song sounding a certain way, like I really won't even um, have to limit myself, I guess, and I can bring it to my band and not really even tell them everything, like just kind of see what they interpret from what I'm playing, and it
Mm.
always ends up just being something that's like beyond what I'm expecting, or I don't know, like we'll just kind of push it forward in a way. So
Sure.
that's been really cool to um, just kind of have at my disposal because there are a lot of things that I know that I can't do and couldn't do without like three other people to kind of just be like um
I feel that.
yeah, just like question things and like also just like add their own like expertise in a way.
Have another head to play off of. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And plus you can be like, I'm going for like a wintry vibe on this one, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, just kind of like, plant some seeds
yeah,
and see what grows.
it's sick. So getting back to the question, or the question about the band, I was gonna ask, which is, at what point, like in the recording process or anything, did you decide, oh, I want to play these songs live, or was that kind of right from the get go?
Um, yeah, so I had started playing shows, I guess a little bit before I had known I was making a record. I kind of
Okay.
just like had a few and I would like test them out at shows that my friends were putting on. And then I would play solo and um that's like just kind of that was what the project was originally for me, and it was difficult because I have really bad stage fright.
Mm.
But it was like it really allowed me to like experiment and learn like what it is that I want to sound like, and um I guess at that point, like I didn't really think that the songs were going to have like full arrangements with them. But when we were building the record, like we would listen to it and we're like, oh, this is kind of boring. And so we would add stuff, and then once it was finished, we were like, okay, we need some help here to play them live. And yeah, like over time, like it was kind of, it was trial and error. Like people would step in for a little bit and then be like, "Yeah, I can't really do it," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool." Um, so we've
Sure.
played with a lot of friends, but now like we have like an actual like steady lineup, which has been really cool. Which is Brendan Simpson, who played the bass for me for a while, and now plays guitar, and Nathan Avila, who's on the bass now, and Justin still on drums.
Very cool. Shouts out
Yeah.
Brendan, WKDU DJ. Um,
Damn
very cool dude. Um, yeah, that's very sick. So I mean, like, I feel like being able to flesh out the songs live is such or flesh it out with the band, I mean, is such
Mhm.
a cool and different thing to do once you've already recorded it. It's like, I feel like it's part two of the puzzle.
Yes, it definitely is, and, like, after the fact, I would be like, "Damn, I wish we did that before." Um,
Absolutely.
and I just started writing differently as well, because I was just like, "Let's see what we can where we can push this," you know? And it's not even stuff that I don't think I'm gonna put out ever, like,
Mhm.
or I wouldn't say that I sound like that anymore, but it's very, I guess, like, quintessential my first band sounding. Like, it's just like, "Hmm, we'll see." I don't know.
Sure. Well, I think everyone's got to have one of those,
I
at least one
know.
of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's really exciting when your first one can be really like entertaining and be really great, and um, a lot of people can dig it.
Yeah.
Um, so something I want to ask you is, so you've been writing a bit more with the new lineup, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, are there any kind of hints you can drop about what kind of vibe it might be like, or
Mm.
like what listeners can expect?
Yeah, I've done, like, some teasing on the internet. But for the most part, with this one, I think I just wanted to write something that I would want to listen to. I feel like it's kinda weird to say, but, like, at this point,
I
I
get
wouldn't
that.
even, like, put on something that sounds like, semi-sweet at this point. Like, I don't know, I think it was just a phase at that point. Um, but the next one is very, like, dream pop vibes. Um, it's a lot more fun, and I think I just
Mm,
got better at writing songs, to be
totally.
honest. So, um, it's dreamy, it's fun, upbeat. There's like a little bit of gaze happening. We love the gaze. That's like
Mm.
been something I've been trying to write a lot more, or
Wait,
just to
gays like
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 shoegaze.
Okay, I was like, it
Yeah.
can be like Gays or Gaze.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I was like, both are sick, but that's awesome.
Shouts out the gays as well. But,
Shouts out the gays.
um, so yeah, I have definitely been trying to be a lot more ambitious, as I said, because we have a lot more at our disposal, and I think I've just kind of learned a lot from the process of putting out something like my first thing and figuring out how to make it sound good as a full band. And so I feel really I don't know, I guess like at this point I feel really confident in the stuff that I'm making for once, but I think just because I'm being a lot more intentional with it and I'm like, okay, I will write a record, and the first time it was kind of just accidental.
Mm.
Um so yeah.
Well, as a fan myself, that's really exciting to hear. So I can't wait to hear what comes next.
Yay.
Um, so somewhat of a left turn. My next question is about you're a founding member of the Bad Apple Commune, which is a multifaceted, multi-genre collective of Black artists,
Mhm.
including people like Huey the Cosmonaut, Zeke Ultra, and yourself, of course. And uh, what was starting that collective kind of like? And um, yeah, can you talk to me about it?
Yeah. So I had met Huey on Tinder actually, which is so funny. But we both put we were like musicians in our profile somewhere, and then he hit me up and he was like, "Let's collab," and I was like, "Oh my god, okay." I had never really done that. And we met up, and the first time we hung out, we ended up making a song, which was so cool and like something I had never. I feel like I'm not very good like without planning like what I'm gonna do.
Mm,
Um, I'm not like the biggest on like jamming. It's something I like challenge myself to do. But
sure.
yeah, we ended up like really um just kind of meshing well, and we ended up talking about our politics a lot and just like our experiences being in the DIY scene in Philly. And he's originally from Rockford, Illinois, and just going to Haverford for school. So like he's been in like exposed to different scenes there and like even in Chicago and stuff. So yeah, we kind of just had the same grievances about like a lot of what DIY shows were like, and just like mostly white guys with guitars and stuff.
Yeah,
So we went to
definitely.
a show that him and I think Zeke were playing, and this indigenous artist named Ascension, who you might know, goes to
Oh
Drexel.
yeah.
Alexis.
Um, yeah. Alexis is the coolest. She's really really cool. She's really
Oh my
good at
god,
what she does.
she's so good. And it was that show. It was at House of Yarga. And we ended up hanging out, and Huey introduced me to a lot of people. After that, and we started talking, and like the idea of having a like black artist collective kind of floated around, and we were like, oh my god, let's do it. Um, and it's so it's not funny, but interestingly, like the place we were at, we like got pizza afterward, and like the owner like tried to say that we were smoking weed inside, and like
Mm,
we got kicked out. And it was really just a group of black people at a table just like hanging out. It was so funny, but it's like it really was to me it felt like a sign like this is like why we're having these types of conversations. Is that
sure.
there isn't there's never spaces for us to like feel safe or whatever, to just be or even to express ourselves and stuff. So we had put on a couple shows together that were just like all black lineup, and the first one we donated the money to the Philly community bailout, and that was really cool and just like a completely different energy than a lot of shows that I'd been at. And they were diverse, and like there was a bunch of different genres of music, and it was all our friends. And I feel like that was, I guess, for me, that was my first experience knowing that like these types of things I can influence, and I can kind of curate a space that I feel is more conducive to people like me. And so yeah, it's been really cool to like kind of create like your own community. Like it's like you
Sure.
can just kind of like, I don't know, build that on your own, and it's helped me meet a lot of really cool people. Um and pretty much just like enhanced my overall um perception, I guess, or experience of putting on shows in the city for sure.
Totally. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned you guys do some, or there's been some collaboration within the collective. Um, are there like a lot of collaborations kind of happening at the same time, or like um, are there a lot of like overall group collaborations? What's that kind of like?
So sorry, excuse me. In the past we floated around the idea of putting on a mixtape like a few times. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Um,
That's
but
silly.
we've mostly done like event planning for the most part. Like we've put on shows. We did an art show last October
Mm,
that Malkia and Anaje did a lot of curating, and um, so yeah, like we've it's kind of just been more like placemaking in a way, just like
okay.
creating spaces for us and for other Black people to enjoy themselves. But we're all, I mean, we're not all musicians is the thing, and some of us
Right.
are you know, like artists or photographers or are into like theory, and like we all just find ways to connect each other just through like the creative spirit and just like our general like ideologies and ways of seeing things. But yeah,
Hmm.
we've done some stuff together. Like we, um, I guess, like to speak for the musicians, like we have ended up being on each other's songs a lot. I know that Savan and Huey have collaborated a lot, and Savan actually ended up mastering my record.
Hmm.
Little known fact. Huey, not many are saying this. But Huey introduced me to Savan, and Savan does a lot of mixing and mastering, just
Hmm.
for their own project, but also like does it on the side. Um, and so that was a really cool connect that could end up benefiting me as well, and like um, yeah, we all just try to like float our ideas around to each other and see what picks up. But I really do want us to eventually make a mixtape. I think that would be really good, and I almost feel like I shouldn't be talking about it because it hasn't been done.
Okay.
I'm manifesting.
Sick. I will too. That's awesome. Um, so another thing I want to ask you about is that Highnoon's one of the few bands that I know that's played a live show in front of like actual people in the pandemic. And
Mhm.
I saw on social media you guys were playing in front of City Hall in
Mhm.
Philly. Um, so how did that happen, and what was it kind of like? Was it really strange? What was that
Yeah,
experience like?
it was weird because we had definitely just written off playing until it was, I don't know, until it was normal again. But I
Hmm.
had gotten an email of just like this series that has been going on like outside that um, they were having going on during the summer, and bands would play outside, and like you could keep your mask on, and it would just be like in the middle of the park, so it wouldn't be like necessarily like close up, or that there would even be a crowd really. Like people would just be kind of like walking by and would see you. Um,
Hmm.
and at first I was like, "Ooh, I don't want to buy anything right now." Um, but we definitely did a lot to make sure that it was safe, and at least it wouldn't be a risk. Of course, it was a risk, but we
Sure.
felt that it was safe enough to do. It was definitely very weird for me to take my mask off to sing, even though everyone was distanced and it was outside. Like I just felt really naked.
Mm.
Yeah,
In these times, yeah.
yeah. Um, but it was definitely a privilege that we could, get tested and be able to practice together again for the first time in a year. Well, not a year, but first time in at least 6 or 7 months.
Mm.
Um, and so that was really cool to do. And I don't know if I would do another one. I guess
Yeah.
maybe the way that things are going, I don't know.
Yeah. Certainly not now.
Yeah, and we didn't even really promote it because it just kind of felt irresponsible, yeah, if we were to draw any type of crowd or whatever. Um,
That's an interesting point. Yeah. It's hard
yeah,
to talk about it a lot because you don't want people to come weirdly.
yeah, you don't. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
I had kind of just like posted the day of, like, maybe an hour before we played, like, hey, like, if you're in City Hall, like, we're here, we'll be playing for an hour, so like check us out if you're walking by. um,
It's a good solution. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
If you're looking at the timeline now, okay, cool, narrow it down.
Yeah, facts.
So, last thing I want to ask you is that what's kind of collaborating with your bandmates and working on the new songs and stuff? How what have the challenges been like during the pandemic? And I don't know, how are you guys trying to work? Um, how what's that kind of been like?
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge. For me personally, I tend to really rush. Not rush, but I get very impatient, and I don't like to sit with songs for too long because then I get too critical and I'm like, "Ugh." Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I had finished writing the next record in February of this year. Um, and we were beginning to practice every week to like kind of fine tune it and start demoing. And
Mm.
we're planning on having it out like around like right now. Um, and that definitely didn't end up happening. I had moved home for a little while, like right before the pandemic hit, actually. And then I just kind of ended up stuck there, which was for the best. And we wouldn't have been practicing anyway. But then I had moved back in August, and just, I guess, general misinformation or lack of information had kind of made people think, oh, maybe we can start like seeing people again. We would get tested to practice and like keep our masks on and everything. But we were like,
Mhm.
yeah, like maybe things are looking up. And they totally weren't. And we had to just completely stop meeting.
Mm.
And so that's been tough. Just because
Sure.
I think I got really adjusted to um, just the system that we had as a full band, and I had never really even recorded stuff on my own before, just like in my room. Um, so yeah, I like almost don't want to. I'll say it. I'll say it. I like recorded an EP actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I did it, and it was like the first. It's like I'm saying, like the first thing that I did by myself. Like I've never really had all the gear to be able to do it, and I've been like
Mm.
slowly collecting it over time. It's an investment.
Oh yeah, I'm in the same struggle right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so that's just kind of something that ended up just coming out and like coming out of me in a way, and
Hmm.
it's been so long, I guess, since um I had written anything. Actually, it's been almost a year since like I felt that the album was like done or whatever. So
Right.
um I've been experimenting with that and like just seeing how that goes. And hopefully we'll be able to um figure something out remotely and maybe just like release a single together. That would be really cool. That's our goal, maybe. But we're
Hmm.
trying not to, of course, rush anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, right now I think it's just a period for me to kind of like go back inward to like my first writing process and kind of see what
Sure.
what comes out now that I like know a lot more. Um, so yeah, I will be releasing something.
That's sick. I
Definitely
was
like
not aware that was in the works, so that's exciting to hear.
I know, I
Um,
don't know when this airs, like, hopefully
it should be out by probably like the new year-ish.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
whoever's watching, you'll be the first to know.
very cool.
I'm definitely just gonna drop it.
Watch out. Keep your eye
Your eyes peeled.
out. So you wrote all these songs like after you wrote the new unrecorded record, right?
Yes,
So was it sort of like it just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say like song vomit, but that's the phrase that comes to mind
oh,
of just
yeah,
like it.
it's vomit for sure. Well, I'm
But
getting to know
I
my
don't want to
no,
link
no,
it to
no, it's cool,
vomit.
it's cool. Getting to know myself really, like, I didn't know what my process was because I never had one because 'cause I'm still very new at this, but it seems
Mm,
like I have just spurts of creativity where I like, "This is the project for now," and after I finish writing that, I have to stop for, like,
mm,
6 months, maybe longer, before I can start writing for real again or even have an idea of what the next thing is like. Um, and so
mm,
over a lot of the pandemic, I was just sitting and I had nothing. And I wish that it timed out well enough that I could just keep going, like I've seen a lot of people do. But I was like, no, it's
same.
time for my break, actually. Um,
Yeah,
so over the past like month or so, like 2 months, I guess, November and December, it just started the gears started moving again, and I was like, "Oh boy, here we go."
here
Um,
it comes.
yeah, and I guess
That's
it's
awesome.
I've kind of had to, like, scale back again because, I won't be able to record anything in a studio and, like, I don't have a lot of skills recording myself, and I'm constantly just texting friends, like, "What do I do right now?" Um, but yeah, I feel like it'll be very, just, like, stripped down and I want it to feel like it's made in my bedroom because it totally was and that's the only place I've been for a really long time. So like welcome I'm just kind of welcoming people into my bunker.
Totally.
Yeah,
That's the vibe. The vibe
that's
isn't
my
wintry, it's bunkery.
it's bunker. Oh my god. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, that's really exciting, and I can't wait to hear it. And yeah, I can't wait to hear more about the release and rollout and stuff too. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for talking to me, Kennedy, and for sitting in this virtual bunker with me. Um,
Yeah, of
uh,
course. A lot of fun.
yeah, me too. Well, again, thank you, and yeah, tune in for some more WKDU interviews. We have more in the pike or coming down the pike, so stay tuned, and we'll be releasing more for you. So, thank you again, Kennedy, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks. See ya.